What is going on, snipers? Naeem Al-Obeidi here. I hope all of you guys are having a wonderful day today. Let's go ahead and just dive right into our daily cryptocurrency analytics for today. This is a live stream. If you're watching this after it's published, feel free to use the 1.25 effects in the description below. It's actually in the settings below. But we're going to be taking price predictions from our audience today. We're going to be looking at different coin prices to see where prices are headed and why the market is down. I do want to address the Tether controversy as well, with all of the different things happening with their auditing side of the equation, alongside with if this is the end of the bubble. A lot of people are asking whether or not this is the end of the bubble. So I definitely want to address all of those questions today. We're going to be doing a book giveaway here, giving away the Internet of Money, as well as doing a Ruby and Above Night Owl for all Ruby Patreons and above. All of those links are in the description below. And then we're also going to have a little bit of a Discord night out today. It's going to be a little party in our Discord chat. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. It's going to be an awesome night. And let's go ahead and check out these prices. So currently looking here at our trading view chart, this is our Bitcoin USD chart. As you can see, we don't have any indicators. It's a trading view chart. The link is in the description below. We're going to be inserting a couple different indicators here. Being that we're looking at this correction and how steep it's going to head, we're going to be utilizing the auto fib today, alongside with the average here, the moving average exponential, the RSI, the three moving averages, and the volume. And then we'll go ahead and start looking at these price zones. As you guys can see, if you guys looked at my previous prediction, I do want to pull that up here. We actually are now hitting that buy zone that we initially started to talk about in the beginning. And you can see we're starting to enter that zone here where we're heading towards this 200-day moving average, which is actually right here in blue. So looking at price levels in a technical standpoint, once again, the technical analysis isn't an end-all be-all. The technical analysis is just a gauge of a risk and reward pattern that has occurred previously through psychology, right? Because most of trading is the psychology of humans and really how they react with risk and reward. And that's what these patterns are really for. So looking at where we're heading into this buy zone that I've set out. And now we're heading towards that 200-day moving average, which is actually right here in the bottom of the Fibonacci line. If you guys actually pull up this other chart that we actually took, which was actually going through the different waves that Bitcoin was following, you can see we had this A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, hoping to get another A wave, but that actually did not work out. It was trying to go back up. You can see it started to crash back down. So that went ahead and broke this whole pattern. Now heading back down, you can see that moving average once again is right alongside with that Fibonacci line. Of course, it's not exact, but we are heading towards there. So the only next rational support level is that 200-day moving average, which is currently right around $8,810. So that's really where the prices are looking like it's heading right now. And if it does hit that level, I'm sure we're going to find some sort of support there. But the real question is, are we going to maintain support at that 200-day moving average? And that's a question that a lot of us would like answered, I'm sure. You can see RSI is not even below 30 just yet. So it's definitely not oversold in terms of the RSI. And if you pull up the MACD, we can actually go ahead and see where we're at in terms of these crossover momentum pushes. You can see we've now just started to cross together with the MACD lines, with the fast and the slow line, now heading down. And you can see this is an indicator that we're still going to see a little bit of some downside with the prices over the next couple of days. So, you know, my opinion with Bitcoin, of course, there's a lot of factors here. The Tether controversy is something that a lot of people have really brought up recently. As you guys know, I actually have this article pulled up here for some of you guys that aren't familiar with the Tether controversy. But so Tether pretty much is a way of hedging against Bitcoin, utilizing the US dollar valuation, which is what the USDT ticker symbol stands for. And you can see the Friedman LLP is actually the company that audits Tether, because in Tether's website, they actually claim to have all of their coins backed by actual US dollars. And this is really where the controversy lies. So if you pull up the website, as you can see, they've got the Cloudflare pulling up here. You can see down here, it's 100% backed, quote unquote. Every Tether is always backed one-to-one by traditional currency held in our reserves. So one USDT is always equivalent to one US dollar. Now, people are questioning the fact that Tether is able to really create or come up with all of this actual US dollar fiat currency to back their coin in such a short amount of time. You can see how they went from almost nothing to over $2 billion. As a matter of fact, $2.2 billion. And people are questioning whether or not that's even possible. And you can see the Tether price is not at $1 right now where it's supposed to be. Now, on some exchanges, it is at $1, as you can see, OKEX. Bitfinex, at least in the USD to USD valuation, it's $1. But for most other pairings, you can see it's currently under $1. And I think that has to do with what's happening here with Bitcoin. And people are very worried that, you know, Tether is not able to maintain its dollar valuation. And as you can see here, the last time they got audited by a third-party company, which is Friedman, they were actually told to have $442 million in reserves. But recently, they've actually just now kind of stepped away from this auditing company, and they don't actually have a relationship. As you can see, Tether's relationship with the auditor Friedman LLP has dissolved, according to a Saturday report from Research and News, intensifying concerns about the platform's transparency. So, of course, not having an auditing company to actually verify that you have those US dollars for consumers like us using the USDT Tether, it's concerning. And you can see the most controversial allegation against Tether is that its coins are digitally minted to purchase Bitcoin on the Bitfinex exchange, which in turn drives up the price in the world's #1 crypto asset, drawing business as the cyber unit climbs. So this is a little bit more of a extreme, you know, acclamation against Bitcoin and USDT and how USDT can manipulate Bitcoin's price. And I think that is also a big concern for a lot of people. People are also talking about the Bitcoin bubble, right? People are looking at this bubble chart saying this looks exactly like what we saw here, you know, in the past couple of months with Bitcoin. If you actually make it look like that, you can always manipulate the way the chart looks. You can see people are saying, man, this looks very similar to how the Bitcoin or the internet bubble was. But you do have to understand there's a lot of differences here. The internet bubble here pretty much peaked out at about $3 trillion, and that was at current valuation. So if you look at today's valuations of, you know, the inflationary value and how that has affected that price, probably looking at about $10 trillion is really where this peaked out. Not only that, this was about a 2-year time frame. So you can see the real run-up started here around 1997 to 8, and then it shot up and then pretty much peaked out right there in March of 2000, where we really saw that pop. And what's interesting about this bubble is you can see there was corrections along the way. So you can see this was probably the biggest correction here. There was a correction here, there's a correction here, there's a correction here. And you can see throughout this time, there's been these periodic corrections. So it could also very well be that we've only seen this part of the correction and we have all this to go, right? And the reason I say that is if you look at this valuation hitting 10 trillion, today's market valuations, we're under 1 trillion here with Bitcoin's actual prices. So you can see we haven't even hit $1 trillion market cap, and that's total market cap. Bitcoin itself has, let alone in itself, hit $500 billion. So looking at Bitcoin's valuation, in my opinion, this could very well just be one little step, one correction towards the real big correction that may occur, because this is really minute compared to the internet bubble and what occurred there. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. I know we have a live audience here, so let's go ahead and take some questions and see what the live audience has to say about that, because I'm sure some of you guys are, you know, talking about that in some way, shape, or form. So let's see here. Somebody said, next year, don't worry yet. Interesting. Somebody said, what's up, what's up, what's up? Tether Connect. That is hilarious. Somebody says bleed. So what do you guys think about the Tether drama? Let's hear what people have to say here about Tether. Let's answer some questions maybe. Somebody said Elliott waves. Somebody says, I told everyone about Tether issue 2 days ago. Everyone was laughing a little. Yeah, Sebastian, you know, the Tether issue has been pretty ongoing for quite a bit now, to be honest with you. I mean, this has been an issue since November, right? I mean, this is really, November was when it really came to fruition, when they had that huge run-up in their market valuation. And people were like, man, how did they print all these coins out? What's up, Josh? Good to have you. Josh is in the house. Egg. Connor Briggs, Mark Decal, the sipping coffee. And I'm sipping this LaCroix here. Eric Gutierrez. That's nice. The fact that the auditor could not verify cash speaks volume. 100%, Eric. I agree. And the fact that they've dissolved their relationship with Friedman LLC. I mean, the fact that they're dissolving any relationship, number one, is a little bit of a, you know, concern in my opinion. And it's definitely a concern for me. Now, for me personally, you know, I would say that I haven't put all of my assets back into the market, of course, since, you know, this correction began. As you guys know, I liquidated my profits. I took what I could, and, you know, I did put a position back in around 11,300, which I haven't sold just yet. Being the fact that, yes, I'm worried in some regards about the Tether, you know, incident and how that can affect Bitcoin. But at the same time, I know that Bitcoin itself has its own valuation. You know, I was actually with the co-founder of Monero and the chairman of Kodak yesterday. They were actually speaking at one of the events that I attended. And, you know, much optimism is still apparent in the market right now. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, it wasn't even a facade. I mean, you can tell that these guys are, you know, their tunnel vision is the forward-thinking path for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. It's not necessarily looking back at what happened or what is going on. They're looking at the forward vision, looking at what's going to come to the market, what are the new technologies coming up, looking at different projects, talking about different projects. And, you know, you can just tell that they were very optimistic about the future, which I think was very assuring for investors like me and the community, of course, like all of us. So somebody says, aren't both Tether and Bitfinex non-US entities? How can our government subpoena them? What does that even mean? Marcus Namick. Yeah, well, you know, of course, being the fact that these companies are outside the U.S., there's little that the U.S. could really, you know, do in terms of legalities. I mean, there's always things that can happen. The U.S. does have some sort of control outside the border, but at the same time, you know, a lot of these companies, like if you take BitConnect, for example, right? People are talking about the BitConnect controversy and comparing it to this Tether controversy. The BitConnect controversy, I mean, BitConnect, they registered their company under many different individuals, quote unquote, promoters. And in that case, you know, there's different liabilities. I mean, in the US, you can pretty much sue for anything. So, you know, it's really a sensitive topic there. Somebody said, is XLM still forming a cup and handle? Did Tether ruin it? So he says, stay lit, fam. Tether straight whack, yo, for real. Wit guy, what? Keep it real, Naeem. One true love. Thanks, dude. Thank you. Thank you, man. So he says, Naeem, I watched the Crypto Millionaires video yesterday. They were very sour on XVG, a coin we have discussed on the channel many times. Do you agree with their dislike of that coin? Ryan Stanbury. You know, I think that they were more so dissatisfied with the pump that these coins received, like Tron and Verge. I think they just weren't as, you know, fond of these coins having such a huge run up out of nowhere. I think that was more of what their concern was, because they're really big on value investing, and that's something that I learned yesterday. You know, these guys are extremely, you know, diligent with the trades and the coins that they invest in, to the point where some of them are only investing in 4 or 5 coins. I don't know if you guys heard, one of the individuals, I think the CEO of CoinWatch, which is a huge entity in this market, he talked about, you know, only having 4 or 5 coins. So it was, you know, it was extremely eye-opening for a lot of people, but for me, it was something that I've always talked about. You know, I think it was kind of like, you know, it was just almost like repeating what I've talked about before. It was very general. I think I got more out of the other sessions behind the table, you know, really meeting some of you guys. That was awesome, you know, talking to some of you guys, but more importantly, talking with some of these experts that, you know, are now having ICOs, for example, or even experts like even having the co-founder of Monero there. I think those conversations last night were really the ones that impacted me the most. Hearing a little bit of what they have to say about the current market, and, you know, really their perspective is, instead of investing in a coin, you want to invest in a person, because it's almost like playing football, right? If you have a quarterback that's good and the quarterback is going to get you to the end zone, then it doesn't matter if the quarterback gets tackled along the way, right? This is a little bit of a tackle right now. You know, you see the market and the market's all red. It's kind of like everybody feels a little bit, you know, disgruntled and not as good as they were feeling when everything was green and everybody was making money. So it's just another tackle, right? Well, it's the same thing in football, right? You know, I played football, and I know in football, you know, you do have good plays, you have bad plays, right? If you're playing a screen, if you're playing a Hail Mary, whatever your play is, it's not necessarily how you get to the end zone. It's all about getting to the end zone. And I think getting to the end zone is important, but the most important aspect of that is the quarterback, because the quarterback can do it in many different ways. He can play it, he can do a run, he can do a pass, you know, he can run himself if he wants. I mean, there's so many different ways. He can do a lateral. Like, there are a lot of different ways to get to the end zone, and I think having a leader an individual leading a company like Vitalik Buterin, for example, that's paving the way for these smart contract blockchain capabilities, I think having that is the most important aspect of where you're going to invest your money, because no matter what, they can, what I call, divert, right? Diverting is such an important aspect of business, because diversion allows you to move and become adaptable, right? It's not about who is the fastest, who's the best. It's about who's the fastest at adapting to new environments and new technologies. And I think that's really the most important thing about this whole cryptocurrency revolution. And then looking at these coins, once again, you know, my belief system in these coins are completely, you know, unfazed by what we're seeing in the market. And the reason I say that, you know, I woke up today, I logged onto my phone, and I was actually trying to send my mother some money for some stuff that she helped me with, and she's, you know, across the whole country right now for me. And I logged into my phone and I went onto my Cash App to send her money. And I don't know if you guys realize this, but if you open up your Cash App right now, you go to Cash App. This wasn't like this before. By the way, Cash App is owned by Square. If you open up the Cash App, look, you go into the Cash App, and then you literally can click. You can click your profile, go down, and it says Bitcoin. Look at that, Bitcoin. And I was like, what? Are you kidding? It literally says Bitcoin, and I click Bitcoin, and it says buy, sell, enable withdrawals, and I click buy, and it's up to $10,000 of Bitcoin. I can just buy up to $10,000 of Bitcoin just like that. And I'm like, this is awesome, you know? Not only that, you've got Robinhood. Robinhood's coming out with Bitcoin capability. So, you know, I'm not saying I don't have any concerns, but I am saying that there isn't necessarily anything that, in a fundamental standpoint, that is, you know, going backwards for Bitcoin right now. There's just all of this stuff kind of hitting it from the side, and you kind of have to take a step back and say, well, is there anything really like changing for Bitcoin? Is anything going backwards? Because at one point it was worth $20,000, but now you've got all of these things. As a matter of fact, not only is it not going backwards, but it's going forward, right? You've got Robinhood, you've got the Cash App, you've got all of these different partnerships, all of these different companies enabling the technology, utilizing it, adopting it, I'm sorry. So, you know, Warren Buffett actually is one of my, you know, most inspirational investors, I guess, for me as an investor. You know, he inspires me greatly. I mean, he has over $200 billion of cash assets, and, you know, that's real cash that he has. I mean, he's got a lot of money, and he's invested a lot of money. All he's done is invest. And, you know, I love his teaching style. You know, if you've ever watched a Warren Buffett video, I would highly recommend it. Or if you've read one of his books, you know, I've personally dived into his mindset because I want to know, as an investor, what is the right mindset. He's a very, very pure value investor. You know, he's not a day trader. He's not a swing trader. Warren Buffett is a value investor. He doesn't invest in technology. Matter of fact, he doesn't have the best things to say about Bitcoin, but he also criticized the founder of Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk, and said that Tesla and SpaceX weren't going to do anything. And so he's not necessarily the right in every aspect, but in investing, he definitely knows what he's talking about. And, you know, just one example of something that he actually said, you know, at one point in Warren Buffett's life, he invested and made a lot of money in Coca-Cola. And at the time, Coca-Cola was at a, you know, really low price. It actually crashed, right? And when it crashed, Warren Buffett bought a ton of Coca-Cola shares. And he was interviewed, and the interviewer said, well, Warren Buffett, you know, why are you buying so much Coca-Cola right now when everybody's selling it and it's crashing right now? He's like, well, I woke up today, I went to the store, and they had Coca-Cola on the shelves, and I bought some Coke. And then I went to the restaurant, and they had some Coke inside the restaurant, and I ordered some Coke. And last time I checked, nothing has changed with Coke. Coke is still being accepted everywhere. And when it was valued at that price, the higher price, it was accepted at the same places it's accepted now. As a matter of fact, it's probably being accepted at more places right now, even though prices are lower. He's like, so in a fundamental sense, Coke is still a valid, and I mean, it's a valid product. It's a valid, you know, in other cases, it could be a service. And because of that, I'm going to invest in it. And if it's at a lower price, for me, this is a discount. So I relate to that with what happened to me today when I logged into my phone, I'm like, whoa, so the Cash App accepts Bitcoin now, you know? This is after coming from a cryptocurrency conference with the co-founder of Monero and the chairman of Kodak, who's just now having an ICO, and their stock tripled, by the way, after the announcement of their ICO, which Kodak kind of needed. So, you know, this is really, you know, I'm not saying I don't have a concern, guys. I definitely have a concern. I think Tether's complete BS, you know, and the reason I say that is I don't think they have $2.4 billion. If they did, why the heck did they dissolve their relationship with their auditing company? The one person that could verify and validate their company and what they're trying to do, they ruined that relationship. Why? They don't have enough money to pay them? I mean, you got $2.2 billion. You should be able to pay them. So that I understand. But, you know, aside from that, I think that there's all this other there's all these other nuances that we have to take into consideration. Super Duties said, "This is why I come here. Love Naeem." Thank you, man. I mean, I'm just speaking the truth. That's it. I mean, you know, I'm just speaking the truth. Somebody says, "If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." Yes, I agree. So Egg Testing says, "Yes, Naeem, the QB." Thank you, man. I was not a quarterback. I loved playing quarterback. Matter of fact, quarterback was my favorite position. However, I ended up, you know, playing other positions when I was actually playing football. But when I was playing street ball, I mean, I would play quarterback all the time, all-time QB. Somebody says, do you ever move your money into USDT when the market is red, crashing, mainly BTC, USDT? Matt, if you use Gemini, you don't need to use, guys, you don't even need to use Tether anymore. You know, the real reason people use Tether, for the most part, is because they wanted to avoid taxes. Because at the time, prior to 2018, utilizing Tether was another coin, and you weren't being taxed on coin-to-coin transactions. Therefore, you were avoiding short-term capital gains. That's why the majority of people used Tether. Now you don't really need to use Tether. You can just liquidate back into US dollars. Like, it really isn't that hard. Just sell your Bitcoin for USD. Like, seriously, you're not going to get taxed any less or any more. It's the same exact tax now. I mean, they've enabled short-term capital gain taxes. So, you know, there really isn't even a use for Tether, to be quite frank with you at this point. I mean, in certain regards there are, you know, for people outside the country. Some people have special cases. There's always special cases, right? But for the most part, for an investor like me, I'm speaking for myself, I don't need to use Tether. You know, I don't need to use it to avoid taxes or anything, because there's no taxes to avoid in reality right now. So, yeah. Somebody says, "Good work, Naeem. Bless you." Thank you, Dina Kad. Somebody said, "Nick E, love your channel. Very informative." Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Somebody says, "I appreciate your honest and personal opinion of the market as a whole. This is the whole reason I watch your videos." Thank you, Kyra Knight. Appreciate that. Somebody says, "King Naeem, Eduardo Benitez." You guys are giving me too much credit. Seriously. I'm just throwing my 2 cents. Somebody says, "What's the quarterback's favorite meal?" The Rothfuss burger. That is hilarious. Somebody said, "Haha, water boy." I wasn't a water boy. Actually, no, I was never a water boy. I was thinking if I was, I think I was injured once. I may have done something like that. But somebody says, "Watching from Ghana, West Africa." I'm sure you are at this time, right? Somebody says, "Make Bitcoin great again." Guys, make Bitcoin great again. We're not going to go ahead and do that. Did you use, or can you recommend a program to keep track of our day trades for tax purposes? I would use coin tracking. Coin tracking. You can use coin tracking. There's also Coinfolio or something. Yeah, Coinfolio, I believe. What's a better place to buy Bitcoin and transfer it to Binance? I would do Gemini or something of that nature. Gemini, you can liquidate into USD. By the way, guys, don't be dumb and you know, like, you know, don't be irrational in this market. You know, like at this point, Joe T, at this point, what I would say in the market is, you know, for me personally, I am not buying or selling much. I haven't put in my XLM position. You guys, a lot of you are asking me here. Simi just asked me about my XLM position. I haven't put it in yet because of what's happening in the market. You can see we did follow exactly the path that we actually have drawn out. By the way, some people are freaked out at these USD valuations. The Bitcoin valuations are not that bad, to be really honest with you. Look at the Bitcoin valuations and Satoshi value. Satoshi value, have you guys noticed that? Have any of you guys taken the, like if you guys are looking at Satoshi value on these charts, have you guys looked at the coin market Satoshi value, which is what I primarily look at? It's not that bad. Matter of fact, there are some performers right now, like Ethereum. You can see Ethereum's up. Litecoin is staying strong, you know? Go Litecoin, go IOTA, go Lisk. Look at Lisk taking off. VeChain, proud of VeChain. Even Stellar, only 3% down in Satoshi value. Not bad. You know, it's the handle is still there. I mean, if you look at the XLM chart that we drew out, I think that was the XLM chart that we drew out. Is there the one with the buy zone? No, that's it. So you can see the XLM chart, the handle is formed exactly where we expected it to form, which is right around this area. Remember I drew out this line for you guys? There was a reason I drew that exact line out. So the fact that we're forming that handle right there, you can see there's now some green zone, some green prices, but I'm just being very cautious about this market. That's just the truth, guys. You don't want to lose money when you know the market's in a fragile form right now. You know, this is something that happened in the stock market back around 2008. You know, 2008 there was a huge crash. You know, if you guys don't know, you know, this could really help you with your trading right now. If you actually know the past, you know, that could always help, right? So when you look here, you're looking at past prices. If you go to 08, you can see 08, we had this huge crash here. So this is the 08 crash. Some of you guys remember this. Some of you guys lost money. This might scare some of you guys. But this is Apple's stock in 2008. And a lot like many other stocks, there was a huge crash. Here's something that you guys might not know about the traditional markets. I have a lot of knowledge of the traditional markets, so I can teach you guys some things on the traditional markets. That's where I started. So the best days in the traditional market always happen within 2 weeks of the worst days in the traditional market. So that's one thing in the stock market that a lot of people don't know. Matter of fact, the average S&P 500 portfolio will have around a 7 to sometimes a little bit higher than that % gain over the year, sometimes less than that. But if you don't take advantage of the 4 to 6 good days of the stock market, that ratio goes from around 6 to 7% down to like 3 to 4%. So the majority of your gains in the stock market happen on very specific days, and those specific days, those really big days, typically occur within 2 weeks of the worst days in the stock market. So this right here is, you know, some of you guys went through this crash, but this, for the stock market, this is a big deal. You can see we were on a constant run up. You can see there was another crash, a little bit of a crash here too. This was 2000. So this right here was, as you can see, this was the .com bubble. That's how Apple held out on the .com bubble. So you can see how it had this run up. It had this huge run up and then it crashed. So you can see now though, this crash in 2000 was nothing compared to what ended up, you know, happening to Apple. And you look at where it's at now. If you bought at any point of this price, like of this, you know, of this stage of Apple's shares or stock, you would have been fine. Look, I mean, we are at all-time highs now, right? We've been in a huge bull market, over a 9-year bull market now. So, you know, looking at Bitcoin's prices, you know, this doesn't necessarily scare investor like me that has seen this time and time again. And, you know, at this point, it's become commonplace for me. You know, I mean, you know, I've seen this before. I've seen this many times before. And all this tells me is that sooner or later, we're going to see some positive upside, right? Because what is it going to go negative, right? It's going to keep going down, then hit negative, you know, I mean, next thing you know, we're at negative 200. Like, that's not going to happen, right? And yeah, it could correct to 8,600. It can correct to 6,000. It can correct to 6,500, 70. But regardless of where it corrects, the point is, do you still believe in Bitcoin? And if you don't, I don't know what you're doing in this market. I mean, if you just want to make fast money on something that can potentially make you fast money, that's fine. But the real money is going to come from the ones that hodl, right? Like, that's really the most, it's the safest, I guess you can say, safest play here, especially if you're only investing money that you're willing to lose. So hopefully that helps. Let's take some questions. Somebody says, strong hand, people. Yes, Marianne 420 hodl. Okay, how about for long-term holders? Yep. Somebody says, CNBC hit job on Apple past few days. San feud or FUD on BTC. Somebody says he doesn't like NEO. I actually was pretty surprised by NEO. I was listening to the NEO's CEO. You know, anytime I do my research, my due diligence, I'm only looking at the actual, you know, the actual things that the CEO or the founder or the co-founder are talking about the coin. I'm not looking at CNBC. I'm not looking at CoinWatch. I'm not looking at any of these news sites. Highly recommend you guys do the same thing, by the way. That's really where I've been able to make my best decisions. And NEO, you know, listening to the CEO, it surprised me quite a bit. You know, it made me realize that NEO is very different than Ethereum in a lot of ways. You know, NEO is actually set out to be able to really handle a lot of transactions per second. It's actually got the ability to handle millions of nodes, apparently. So, you know, he's you know, that's something that I didn't even know about. But he says that the scalability on NEO is very big and has a lot of potential in terms of scalability. So there are some things that I'm starting to really understand about NEO that I never really understood before, and just to be honest, and I'm starting to really look into NEO as a potential investment long term. So you guys know I love my investments long term. You know, like my value, you know, as a value, the value investor side of me is, you know, the funnest part for me, because that's where you're really optimistic for the long term, because that's where big money is made. So hopefully that helps. Thank you, Claude, for the super chat, brother. $10. Somebody said President Evil, Donald Trump will be a 2-term president. That has nothing to do with this, I guess, right? Somebody says, Al Blob, Naeem, I can sense your humility from all the way in Florida. Keep it up, man. Love to watch these informational live streams. Do you think Bitcoin will hit that 200-day moving average? I think so. You know, I think we'll bounce off of that. You know, being that we're in this Fibonacci level, we're in free fall mode, right? Bitcoin, think of Bitcoin right now with some goggles and a parachute, and just imagine a little coin looking like Pac-Man just flying down from the sky right now, like, whoa! Like, that's kind of what Bitcoin's doing right now. So, I mean, look at it. That's literally, there's no support level. The 100 days gone, the Fibonacci, we're right in the middle. It's open air for Bitcoin. Just saying. Naeem, would it be prudent to sell the negative hype and buy the negative news? Good re-entry point. Funny you say that, Claude. I've got my buy position set up right here. I got my buy prices right here, man. 1010. I'm going to buy at 10,000. I'm going to buy at 93, and I'm going to buy at 88, 86, 85, around this level. I might raise this up a little as if 200-day goes lower. But this is my buy zone, man. I mean, anytime I've seen negative price movements, we've only had positive price movements after that, right? Like, you can actually go back and see Bitcoin before the huge hype really came into play. Bitcoin has had this happen to it many, many times. You can see here, you know, this, I mean, this one looked just like right now, right? You can see we bounced off of the 100-day moving average, Claude. You see what I'm saying, dude? So it's following technicals. Guys, technical analysis was made in the early 1900s when the markets were actually volatile, because volatility is actual emotions, and emotions are what create patterns. Patterns are actually, it's a risk and reward pattern of the human psychology. That's what patterns are made by and for. So, you know, that's why we use patterns. It's because it's, you know, you can see like a double top, right? You go to our Discord, for those of you on our Discord. By the way, we are doing a Ruby and Above Q&A night owl tonight because of the conference I went to last night. I'm not going to be able to do a full-on Q&A in the voice chat with everybody because we already have over 100 people in our voice chat. By the way, guys, oh my gosh, I got a message today. Let me read this to you. Hopefully this lady doesn't mind me reading this, but she said, I just got a message today. She says, "Good evening, Naeem. I just want to extend my gratitude. I'm very new to crypto, only a month in. However, since watching your videos, I've consumed so much knowledge, foremost on chart reading. I've read through many of your resources and amazingly caught on very quickly. I really find so much satisfaction in crypto and would love to learn more on day trading and making this my full-time job. I'm currently a personal trainer and going through a lot in my personal life at the moment, so my income is a little low for now, but I'm able to become a Patreon. However, I'm looking for a mentor to help guide me. I want to absorb all that I can learn in the in and outs of this business and create a YouTube channel. You've really inspired me, and I can't thank you enough. Keep doing what you're doing because your impact surpasses anything you could even imagine. Very respectfully, and then her name. And I'm like, wow, that means a lot. And all of that comes from the Discord, and I'll show you exactly why. You join in one of these chats. Let's listen to these people. Look at that. I mean, they're going at it.
It's so bad for people who are holding Lisk, man. That thing went up and down.
Look, talking about Lisk.
Just swept through.
So I highly recommend you guys, get yourself in the community. But we are going to be doing a Ruby and above night owl. For all Rubies and above, we'll do a Q&A tonight. And that's going to be under the Ruby Plus. So we're going to end the stream fairly early. And then, so this was back here in 2013. I was actually around when this happened. This is really when Bitcoin peaked out. Went up to around 1,000, 100, and 200, and it just dropped down. I mean, this was the time that I was trading Bitcoin. Actually, I think this was right before I started trading, but I was actually buying and selling here. I wasn't trading. I was buying and selling though. Because I remember it was at 300 for a very long time. You can see stayed here, stayed around 300, 200. Before that, it was right around 100, less than 100. Stayed around that price level. Stayed on that 50-day, 100-day moving average. Jumped up, and then you can see, I mean, it was down for quite a while from these all-time highs. Some people thought that it was never going to go back up, but then 2014 came, it went back up. You can see 300 back up, starts going through 1,000, breaks through 1,000, and then now where we're at. So this doesn't look that scary compared to what we've seen before. Matter of fact, that what we saw was more, it was more dramatic. It was more dramatic and steeper. So let's go ahead and somebody says this channel blows. You guys want to blow this guy off the channel? Watch this. Axie, watch. Oh, look at that. He just got blown away from the channel. We don't got space for haters. Somebody says, how much do you even know about these coins if you didn't know about Neo, Moon, Renato? That's not, I mean, you can say what you want. I mean, I don't care. Like, I didn't know about Neo because I knew about Neo. I just didn't ever hear about I didn't hear from the CEO. So, stop assuming something that's not true. You always have great advice, Naeem. Love your videos. Thank you, Wendell. Appreciate that. Naeem, what's up? Can you look at Litecoin? We'll look at Litecoin. Nick Bannister said, ha 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 ha. Somebody says, buy Axie. How do you sustain making profit trading altcoins in the downward market? Anas Edney. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I have not hit my target yet. I was actually trying to hit at least, I think it was like 43% profits this month, based on the calculations that I typically do when I plan my portfolio out every month. And, this month alone, I haven't, gotten near the 43% mark yet. Thankfully, I'm not down because I was able to liquidate. I am down a little bit on the 11.3 purchase that I made of Bitcoin. But other than that, I mean, for me personally, I'm very strategic with where I put in my entry and exit points, and I make sure that if I have a feeling that something's going to go down, I make sure to get out of that position either at a profit or at a loss, but my profits typically cover that. So in terms of how to make a profit in a downward market, the best thing you can do, a lot of people were talking about this today, and they were talking about using USD valuations versus BTC valuations, but you can make a profit in this market by just making profit on coins like Ethereum, right? If you were holding Ethereum in the past 24 hours, you would be at a 2.19% profit right now. So that right there is pretty stout. Look, I mean, you go to this chart, you can see there's a ton of coins here that are at a profit right now against Bitcoin. And that's if you were looking at Bitcoin's valuation. If you go to USD, it's a little bit different. There's not as much, obviously. You've got a very select few that are up right now compared to USD valuations. But in Bitcoin valuation, you've got some green, right? So take advantage of these green or this green. And then you can see the negative isn't that bad. I mean, there is some negative, of course, but it's not as bad as the USD, downfalls. Obviously, you can see the USD valuations are pretty bad. The 1 hour is green, but the 24 hours you can see pretty much all red. Eric Avreta says, glad to be a Patreon. Yes, by the way, I'm going to be posting some new Patreon content soon. I'm going to be posting some stuff from the conference, the panel with the Monero co-founder. That's going to be exclusive, of course, because that was recorded professionally. And then not only that, I have the Ruby and Above Night Owl that I'm going to release. That went really good. It was a really good Q&A. And then we'll also do a Ruby and Above Night Owl tonight, and we'll do a Q&A session for what I learned at that conference, so you guys can kind of pick my brain, and I'd love to answer questions on that too. So, Naeem, how does the weekly BTC chart concern you at all? Does it differ from what happened in 2013? Not at all. 2013 was actually worse, in my opinion. Like if we were to do a week chart, you know, you can see it's bad, but you can see here, even this right here in 2013 was pretty bad too. So, you know, I'm not really worried. I mean, I've seen this before, right? So it doesn't differ too much in my opinion. I mean, this looked like it was only going up, but guys, you know, when you're going down, you only can go down so far until you're going to start seeing this, right? You're going to start seeing some upside. So, you know, don't get caught here when everybody's going to make some extra cash, and then you're like, oh, well, I was worried and I was scared to get into the market. No, you know, you want to be in the market when this type of stuff happens. But obviously you can see it went down for a while before it caught back up. So this is obviously a correction. Now, the real question is when it does start to find support, because it might start to find this type of support, but in my opinion, with the amount of volume coming into the market this year, this is going to be a very different ball game than what we saw here. You can see the volume here was minute. It was very small compared to what we're seeing right now. Like if you were looking at this volume compared to this volume, that was, you know, just trumping the volume that we saw here, then you can already tell that, you know, what we're going to see eventually with more volume coming into the market is going to be a lot more substantial. But the 1 week chart does not scare me at all. This is why this correction was completely necessary. You see how the RSI here was so high? Now, you don't typically want to look at RSI in a week, but look at that RSI level. That does speak some sort of volume. And now we're finally back down. And you can see anytime we hit this level, look at that right there. Wow. This right here, check this out. Look at this RSI support on the 1 week. This is actually pretty big. This is a big deal, guys. Look at that. This is technical analysis. Look at that. We have a very strong RSI support right here around 50, 51. There are RSI support levels. For those of you that don't know that, RSI support levels are existent. People don't realize that you can use this. If you guys look here, I'll show you exactly what an RSI support is. So if you Google RSI support, you can see there's RSI support levels too. So people don't talk about the RSI support levels, but that's definitely true. You can always look at RSI support levels. Even RSIs, look at that. You can go ahead and draw lines on those. So, you know, that's interesting, right? I'm not going to call this the end all be all, but it pretty much lines up with exactly what my prediction is of what Bitcoin's going to do in this buy zone and start to bounce back up. So you can see right at that RSI down here, right when it hits 50-ish, it usually bounces back up. So there's that potential of that bounce back. Does that mean it's not going to go any lower? I think it'll go a little bit lower, but I'm expecting some bounce back soon. That's why this is my buy zone, right? This is something that I've strategically put in place about 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, and that's what I'm expecting. So somebody says, yo, Naeem, can you be my mentor? Alamadi. You can go on the Patreon, man, if you want to look at stuff. Somebody says, hopefully recovers fast. I just came from there. Somebody says, I hate your analysis, TBH. Sean Hicks. Well, you're a hick. Somebody says, after watching your conference video, one of the speakers made a very passionate remark there. Maybe only 5 to 8 solid cryptocurrencies. I'm curious, what do you think these 5 coins may be? Bitcoin, Ethereum for sure. I think another coin was EOS. They were big. They were pretty big on EOS. I heard them talking a lot about other coins. We'll pull up this coin market cap. You know, they did have some stuff to say about Monero. Obviously, the Monero co-founder was there, so They weren't going to leave that one out. But other than that, I mean, I couldn't tell you what coins they were specifically talking about, but I know for sure Monero, EOS, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple, or not Ripple, Ethereum and Bitcoin were the ones that they were primarily focused on. They didn't talk much about Ripple or Bitcoin Cash or Cardano or Neo or Litecoin. And I don't typically hear them talk much about that, you know, from the time that I've been with them. So somebody says, if you're here for the long term, then nothing to be scary. Yeah, I agree. What are your top ICOs? In terms of ICOs, I do got a couple that I'm looking at right now. You know, I'm looking at Titanium right now. I'm looking at Omega One. It's actually done by Ray Dalio's team, or some individuals from his team. Ray Dalio ran one of the largest hedge funds in the world, over $175 billion. And there's a couple other ones. The Odyssey protocol I'm going to be looking into soon. And I'll be posting that for our Patreons and our trading alerts. So we're going to be enhancing our trading alerts as well for all Patreons. We're going to be doing more ICOs and stuff too. And I'll be doing my summaries there. So somebody says, oh, Naeem's getting lippy. What does that mean? Jeremy Bates. Anyone on here use any good IP stressors? Fruit stressor is gone again. I'm not getting lippy. His name was Hick. That's why I called him a Hick. That's his last name. So, I mean, just calling him, actually being a little bit respectful, to be honest with you. Calling him by his last name. You see what I did there, though? Sometimes you just got to smack some people in the face because they need a little bit of reality set inside of them. Has EOS bottomed out tonight? Let's pull up EOS. Good question, Jeremy Bates. Let's do EOS. EOS BTC. Somebody says Titanium is on a good price. ZShao. ZCL is a good coin to trade, somebody said. I mean, I wouldn't call this a bottom out. Look at this RSI. It's definitely not a bottom out. You know, so somebody says, thanks, bro. You should be drinking vitamin juice. That's funny. My man Naeem. What up, Dave McElwraith? You got the Wraith protocol in your last name, bro. That's awesome. Naeem, you're awesome, man. Don't watch the haters. That guy is a hick. Crypto D, yeah. That's why he's not talking anymore. We scared him away. That's what haters do. They come in, they criticize, and they leave, and they go back to their hickey life. So I don't think this is at the bottom yet. You can see RSI is in the latter part of this, so it's at the top. Looking at the 50-day, if we were to actually calculate this, pretty much around 20-30% away from that 50-day moving average. What's interesting about this is the EMA is starting to curve, but it looks like every time the EMA curves, it seems to run back up. So this might start seeing more of a run up in a BTC valuation. I mean, these coins are holding strong in my opinion. Most of these coins are holding strong. Look at these. I mean, you look at BTC valuations, these coins are green. You know, this has been a pretty interesting market recently. The coins being affected by this, in my opinion, are Ripple. Cardano has been affected just minutely. NEM has been pretty beaten up over the past couple of weeks. But coins like Tron, I mean, Tron got beat up. Even VeChain is still 16% down over where it was 7 days ago, but you can see it's starting to see some gain the past 24 hours. But the coins that are really prospering right now, Ethereum has just been killing it, guys. Don't waver Ethereum out of your vision right now. Like you need to watch Ethereum. I mean, if you're looking at Ethereum, it's gradually going up and up and up no matter what. I mean, for the past 7 days, the past 24 hours, and the past hour, it's been positive. So I would watch Ethereum. Matter of fact, why don't we do a quick Ethereum analysis here? Check this out and see where prices are headed here. So broke out of this. Just clear everything out here. Let's do a refresh. Let's do a 100% fresh analysis here. Somebody says, why are you naming all my coins? That's what Sasha just said. Interesting. What do you do a video on indicators? We got a couple videos on indicators by one of our analysts, Marcus. He actually just made another video. We'll be posting that soon. Somebody says, what do you think about XLM? I love Stellar. You guys know me and Stellar. Stellar is one of my favorite coins. I think looking at their project really set my standards higher than ever. Somebody says, glad to see you're working on your social skills. What do you mean? Somebody says, how's the USD valuation decided on a coin that can only be attained via BTC/ETH? You don't have a USD valuation other than the fact that you would want to transfer and do a crossover. So it's kind of like when I used to do Forex trading. Some currencies you would do a double valuation on. So that means, let's say you're doing for example, if you're doing Sia coin versus ETH versus USD on whatever ETH you get from that Sia coin purchase. So it's just cross-referencing. Somebody says, yo, any thoughts on Revain? Haven't heard of Revain. Somebody says, you drink a lot of energy drinks, Tony. This is actually sparkling water. It's called LaCroix. It's just water. You know, you can drink this before you go to bed. What will go up tonight? Wine weirdos. We got a couple coins going up. I think Ethereum, guys. Let's watch Ethereum for a little bit here, because check this out. We've got this huge run up. It's not being phased by Bitcoin. Let's do a side-by-side comparison here of oh, look at that. TradingView updated their chart. I like it. TradingView's stepping up their game. Wow. Look at that. So we can do let's do a side-by-side comparison here, or a top-by-bottom comparison in this case here, BTC USD. Check that out. Isn't that interesting? So looking at this chart, so this is going from March. So we'll go to March here as well. And then you guys can actually see the exact. So look at that. Ever since Bitcoin has been going down, Ethereum has been going up. You guys notice that? Maybe a lot of you guys aren't paying attention. You guys focused on Bitcoin. Look at that. Ethereum's going up. I don't have any trash cans around me anymore. Somebody says, any chance you've seen the ICO Crypterium? Yeah, I've seen that, Bob. Haven't done my due diligence yet. Wine weirdos, I very much notice. Somebody says, how many hours do you sleep? I try my best to get some sleep. I was up until like 6 a.m. last night after the conference. We had a little bit of a night owl afterwards, like a real night owl. We went to the W here in LA, Hollywood. Somebody says, that's why NEO is going up. How do you get involved in an ICO? Yes, good one, Miral. So Mr. Gandhi noted something very interesting. So Chinese Ethereum, right? NEO, that's what it's touted as. That's what people talk about it as. And that's why NEO is going up, apparently, because of Ethereum. And I can definitely validate that in a fundamental sense. I mean, if Ethereum is going up, people are going to want to invest in anything that's comparative to that, right? So it's kind of that, you know, it's almost like the fear of missing out inside of people that are like, oh my gosh, well, Ethereum's going up, let me go to the next best coin. And you look at coins like Stellar, you know, you've got several ICOs. If you guys don't know, like Kick, you know, the Kin coin, the company, everybody that uses Kick, they're having their own coin, and you know, they went from Ethereum to Stellar. So they're not going to do it on the ERC20 platform. They're going to be doing it on Stellar now. So somebody says LaCroix is fire. LaCroix. Now, considering Ethereum is so much more than just a cryptocurrency, do you think it's likely it will surpass Bitcoin in market cap within the next couple of years? Amid Savi, I would say Ethereum is a different type of coin. You know, Ethereum can create 18 million coins pretty much every single year. So they have that inflationary system set in place. And not only that, Ethereum is meant to be a reward or a gas for developers on the Ethereum blockchain. So it's not necessarily like Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is limited in value in terms of market supply, and it's also limited in, you know, how it's created. It's all through proof of work. You know, there's no proof of stake in Bitcoin. Ethereum is going to be kind of changing its approach over the next couple of years, and especially as it develops. You know, that's why I talked about the quarterback. You're looking for the best quarterback, right? And Vitalik Buterin, in my opinion, he's the one individual in the market that I think has the know-how or the genius inside of him. I was watching an interview by him the other day, and the interviewer was like, so Vitalik, it was at the end of the interview, just like, so is there any social media platform, or where could people find you? And he's like, just Google my name and that's fine. You know, like, he doesn't even care about promoting his Twitter, his social media, or anything like that. He's not looking to do any of that. He's solely focused on the development and the future of Ethereum. And I think that's awesome. I think that's a great quarterback. I think that's you know, not to get any sort of hate on this, but I think that's the Tom Brady of cryptocurrency right now. So Vitalik Buterin is one. You know, Satoshi Nakamoto, I don't think he's the best quarterback. He was definitely a quarterback at a time, but you know, he's kind of in the Hall of Fame now. So somebody says, can you please look at Genesis Vision? They're a IFX Expo Asia 2018. I would love your thoughts on GBT coin. Thank you for mentioning that. I can definitely look into it if it gets a little bit more traction. It's definitely something that I can possibly look into. I can't do a technical or a ICO analysis right now. I'm guessing that's a new coin. Somebody says the Aaron Rodgers of crypto. Samuel Sands. That's fine too. Somebody says, David Poe, I think you have a great show. No problems here. Thank you, man. Somebody says he was the coach. Yeah. I love when you get nerdy and geeky and specific and stop dumbing it down. He has already done LTC. Somebody says, I'm addicted to buying TRX. I've bought 25 bags, built up from when it was 30 cents. Nice, man. Interesting. Satoshi was Joe Montana, but ETH guy is Brady. Somebody said. Yeah, so this is an interesting chart here. You know, you can see the coolest part about this is the MACD on Bitcoin is low, while the MACD on Ethereum is high. So that could certainly indicate another reversal in this trend. What I mean by that is if you look here, the MACD for Ethereum when it was on the downtrend was under, while Bitcoin was over. So Bitcoin was high while Ethereum was low. And then it flipped. Ethereum is now high, prices rose, while Bitcoin is low and prices dropped. So as you can see, this initially started with Ethereum dropping, Bitcoin rising, dropping, and then what would be next? Well, maybe this and then this. So maybe the next phase of this is Bitcoin rising while Ethereum maybe drops or levels down. So nothing just goes up forever. And some of you guys have learned that lesson finally. And that's something that I've talked about since the start of this channel and since the start of our live streams. Nothing just continuously goes up forever. And that's something important to notate, right? So hopefully that helps some people. Let's look at Ripple. Somebody wants to know what Ripple is doing here. XRP BTC. Let's go ahead and take Ripple's price into consideration here as well. Some people will have a lot of money in Ripple. I have some good news for Ripple. Here's my news here. So it looks like we're finding some very strong support here on this 50-day moving average. You can see we had a huge bounce back here. If you pull up the 1 hour, you can see a better view of that. You can see as soon as we touched that level, we bounced right back up. So that 50-day moving average really hit right down here, right down there. We bounced right on top of that. So Ripple is known to find some sort of stability. You can see in the past, Ripple's had quite a bit of stability. These run-ups kind of sporadically pushed Ripple's price back and forth, and it kind of shook it up a little bit. And that's typically what happens with these parabolic run-ups due to that volume. And now you can start to see Ripple starting to stabilize these prices. It hasn't had volume for a while. Sometimes not having volume for this amount of time can lead to something good, because now this can only go up, right? So expect some more volume soon here for Ripple, and that could possibly bring these prices higher. And not only that, we're right on that 50-day moving average, so I think that's a strong support, at least a psychological support line right now for Ripple. So as long as it can stay on top of that, if it breaks below that, then I would watch what I'm trading with Ripple, because it'll most likely correct back down to this, either that, or I wouldn't say it'd go to that 200-day or that 100-day. In my opinion, if we put the auto fib on, what you'll see, if this auto fib will go on here, well, we'll just have to draw it. Let's do our manual Fibonacci retracement here. So if you guys want to ever do a manual Fibonacci, just go to the top level, draw it down to the lowest point of the wicks. Yep, and you can see here. Okay, there you go. So within Fibonacci levels as well, you can see we found a little bit of support and resistance around that Fibonacci line. Now we're really following that 50-day. I think if it drops below this, we might go down to this level. But most likely, in my opinion, we'll find support down here around 64,000 Satoshis if we drop below this. And the reason I say that is there's something interesting happening here where if you look at the green right here is the 100-day and the blue is the 200-day. And for a little bit of time, the 100-day was under the 200-day moving average. Now, what's interesting about that phenomena is now that we've intercepted back together, the 100 and the 200-day are so close together that it almost doesn't act as a strong support level the way that Bitcoin acted against its 100 and 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, because they were so separated. They had their own clear, concise levels of support. So you can see we found support on the 50-day, and then we found support on the 100-day, and now we're dropped under that, heading towards that 200-day. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. Somebody says, do patterns only work on a long time scale or also on a minute scale, for example? Yeah, you can use it on a minute scale if you're doing day trading. It's a little bit of a different ball game. So for day traders, let's say you're day trading a volatile currency, like this is pretty volatile right now, Litecoin. Day trading is pretty simple. You can, first of all, draw out your support level. So I'd probably draw out support right here. And this is a USD valuation because this looks to be a little bit more volatile right now. But you can see we're pretty much at these resistance levels. So we're most likely going to start heading down. So this is the channel I would trade on right now if I was day trading. And I would watch this channel and I would trade upon this. So, you know, you can even remove that auto fib so you don't have to have that kind of distorting your perspective. And then if you just watch this channel here like this, you can see exactly where price levels are headed as they go up and down. It's almost like a ball, right? So you just watch it. So a ball bounces on the ground, hits the roof, bounces again, hits the roof. So it just kind of follows this pattern. That means that if it starts to head down, you can see every time the RSI hits a certain level too, it bounces. So you can also draw these support lines here. So if you're day trading, there's a lot more lines that are going to be drawn. That's just the truth of day trading. So if I was day trading, I would probably draw it out like that. You can see there's that ascending support level. You've got this channel forming. There's a lot of different channels forming here. So you've got another support level right down here. You want to draw all these lines out when you're day trading because you can make money in every single aspect here. Like, especially if you're trading a couple $1,000s within this, all you got to do, draw out these lines and literally just trade within different channels, different support and resistance lines. You can make, you know, a couple percent here and there, and that adds up over time. You're very welcome, Anas. Thank you for asking, brother. Gabriel M. Leone says, just got home from work. What did I miss, Naeem? We talked about Tether. We talked about Bitcoin. We talked about Ethereum and how it's opposing Bitcoin right now. It's going up, but now it might reverse. We're talking about Bitcoin correcting out to 8,600 potentially. We're talking about Tether controversy. Tether dissolving relationship with their auditing company. I actually just came back from a conference. Had the co-founder of Monero there. Also had the chairman of Kodak. Just had an ICO. We're going to be doing a Q&A. So all Patreon, Discord, Rubies, and above. So if you're a Ruby and above, so Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and Diamonds, we're going to be heading over to the Ruby Plus section here on our Patreon. For those of you not Patreons, not Rubies, you guys are fine. You guys can go to the Voice 2. We got a ton of people here in Voice 2. You guys can come in here. We got over 100 people already in the chat. You guys can come in, interact. Man, they were all, somebody today was calling out Icon. I think that everybody here made money today on Icon. So I'm not promising any sort of results. Results may vary. This is not financial advice, but I'm telling you right now, there are people, I mean, it's not a pump and dump. This isn't a pump and dump. No. If you do, by the way, if you post a pump and dump, you get banned automatically. No pump and dumps allowed here. But they are talking about actual fundamentals. They're looking at different charts. They're analyzing it. They're saying, hey, yo, I'm calling this. You know, this is a play. This is a good play. And they're making money. So highly recommend you guys get on our Discord. I'll post a link here in the chat or in the description. It's in the description. So somebody says, how do you become a Ruby? It's on the description. So we do trading alerts for all of our Patreons. So far we've been doing some revamping, so we're going to be revamping that and doing some different type of trade alerts soon, trade alerts that can really help some of the newcomers. But when you go on the Patreon website, the link is in the description. There's different levels, so you want to make sure if you want to come into the Night Owl, you're a Ruby. So The ruby's up here, and then you've got a ton of different places. So if you're gold and above, you get the trading alerts. So hopefully that answers your question. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. Yes, we did. We talked about Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Somebody says, you mentioned being able to see when big money is buying. Any thoughts now? Rick. Let's do the 1 day really quick and see. But there's not much volume coming in just yet. It doesn't look like we've seen too much buying of Bitcoin recently. So I don't think the big money has really come yet. If you want to watch for that, I would watch the volume and then also watch for the RSI for some large spikes. Because anytime there's high volume, you can see anytime there's high volume, look, the RSI starts to spike. So that's how you're going to look for those institutional traders. Somebody says, Brady baby. That is hilarious. Thanks for your work, man. Valuable. You're very welcome, Miros. Thank you, brother. Can Tron rebound? It can, but I don't know when that's going to happen. Kyra, you know, looking at Tron. It's the right chart. Wow. Very zoomed in here. TRX, BTC. There you go. Let's go ahead and clear this baby up. Interesting. So this is a pretty good chart here. You can see we're right on that 50-day moving average. So what I would do, in my opinion, if you want to possibly make a quick trade, this may be a good time to buy Tron. Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah, look at that. It's right on that 50-day moving average. So this is a 50-day moving average. All you got to do is set up your stop loss right under. So if you put a buy purchase in Tron, just set up a stop loss right under it, and you'll be fine, right? So set up a stop loss right down here, right under the 50-day. I would do an alert. So just right click, add an alert like that. Don't do an actual stop loss, because with this volatile market, these wicks go really far down and they can trigger their stop losses, and it'll be a false stop loss. But looking at this chart on the 1 day, I mean, we're right on that 50-day. So you can see what happened previously when we touched that 50-day. It's almost like a trigger. Just a trigger of positive price movement. So there's that potential play right there. So that's just one play out of many. And you can see the RSI, even when it hit this, was right at 44, and we're lower than that right now. So there can possibly be another quick jump. If it breaks that, though, it can probably go down. So Tron is pretty easy. Typically that happens when you see these consolidations. It's easy to predict where you're going to find support, where you're going to reverse. Fadi Kadi, how do you liquidate your coins? Could you teach me, please? Just sell them, bro. You're very welcome, Crypty D. Benjamin said Tron is a joke. Tertullian said Tron is a garbage coin. Stop being fanboys. What do you think of ICX and how it'll do after the conference tomorrow? There's actually a conference happening right now. I don't know what you're talking. There's a conference happening right now for ICX. They're live right now, actually. They're live. Do you think BTC will bounce off the 200-day moving average? I think it will, Brian, for sure. I think it will bounce. Is it going to find support? Most likely. I mean, if it goes under that, that would surprise me. Somebody says, where will it go? And understand, Brian, I've also got my buy levels set up here. So here are pretty much my buy points here right now for Bitcoin. So I've got certain levels of where I want to buy. And I've had these levels for a while now. That's all based on the technical. So this is FYI, you kind of lagging every now and then. Really? Hopefully not. Has this stream been pretty good, guys, in quality? Because I actually changed some of the settings. I made it 1080p and stuff. But I'm using my GPU now more than ever. So I was using my CPU, but now I'm using my GPU. Hopefully it's still good, though. So I'm trying to fix that microphone issue that we were facing. You're very welcome, Brian. Thanks for being a long-time viewer here, brother. Somebody says, favorite coin? Electronium. If you mean like altcoin, I'd say Electronium. Like if you'd say under $1 billion market cap, Electronium. I love Electronium. I think prices are high, but I still like the coin. I got in on it pretty early, so we can hear, but freezes every now and then. Audio is good. Yeah, just webcam. Some lag here in Australia. Sound is fine, but video skips. Great work. I've been trading Forex So this is not that good, bro. Fine for me. Usually better quality. Interesting. I'll have to see what I can do then to fix this up a little bit. So this stream is terrible. Laggy? Really? Okay, we'll have to fix it then. Yeah, we'll fix it up. I probably have to lower the bandwidth just a little bit. Sorry about that. So, somebody says, respect. Thanks for the knowledge. You're very welcome, Tahoe. Roger in the house. R. Melvin. Miras. Jeremy Bates says, who do you run a one-day chart versus a 1 hour chart? Why do you run a one-day chart? It depends on what you're trading, dude. Are you a swing trader, day trader, or value investors? Different types of traders. There's also different perspectives. There's different viewpoints of different patterns. You know, there's a lot of different reasons. You know, you just have to find out what chart you're liking the most. You know, I like to look at 1 days because it gives you a pretty good overall viewpoint on overall price levels. It's probably not the best if you're a swing or a day trader. Kyra said it could be the viewer's connection and not you. Yeah, guys, you guys got to upgrade those download speeds. You might be right. Thank you, Kyra, for mentioning that. I'd love to see you, Kyra, at the Night Owl. I don't know if you've ever been to one of our Night Owls. You too, Jamal. Fig House, you should be out there, man. We're going to start heading over there. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. But yeah, we're going to be heading over to our Night Owl because I want to answer some of the questions. You can see we already got some Patreons there. So all rubies and aboves. We're going to be the ruby and above. If you're not a ruby, don't worry. There's also a spot for you guys. Voice 2. We got tons of people here. The link is in the description for the Patreon. I got my moderators handling this, so as soon as you come in, they'll welcome you. You guys can plug in your microphone. You can listen in on what's happening. This is pretty much what these voice channels do. You go in there, you can talk with everybody.
HSR. So he's giving before the breakout. If you scroll up a bit further, you'll see one of Ali's charts.
It was, I'm sorry, hang on, I'll find it. It was Alibaba, my bad.
Hey, I brought up HSR first.
So they're talking about different coins there. So yeah, guys, all that knowledge is there waiting for you. You guys can talk in, interact. Not only that, if you're a Ruby and above, we'll be doing a Q&A. So since I just came back from this conference with the Monero co-founder and the chairman of Kodak, I want to answer some of the questions you guys might have for me on what I learned and my perspectives on different things. So hopefully this helped out. You're very welcome, Jennifer. Hearts back to you. Thank you, Jen. Fakehouse says, have an issue with the Discord link, man. IDK. I'm not sure. You shouldn't have an issue with the Discord link. You know, I'll invite you. I'll put another invite link on the chat. Hopefully this will work a little bit better. But do apologize. Wine Weirdos. Good show, actually. Well done. Thank you, man. Try my best. Awesome. Are most people in here learning day trading and swing trading from you? Yes. Lagging here too. Somebody says, if you want to invest $100,000, where do you suggest to put it? I would say diversify that. Allocate your assets 25% in Bitcoin, 25% in Ethereum. Maybe you can put 10% in the top 10, 10% in the top 20, put 5% in the top 30, put 5% in the top 40, put another 5% in the top 50, and the last 5% in the top 60 coin. And then pick whatever coins you feel comfortable picking based upon the quarterback, right? The leader, who's leading the coin. Because the quarterback gets tackled, as long as they know how to get to the end zone, that's all that matters. It's not about the technology, it's about the quarterback. So people forget that. But if you guys invest in startups, you know what I'm talking about. All right, Roger. Somebody says market manipulation is the problem. Interesting. Thanks for the steady hand, Naeem. For sure. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. Think it worked, dude. Awesome. Somebody says, thanks. You're very welcome, Dennis. All right, guys. Any other questions? Johan, you're very welcome, brother. Somebody says, 100% agree. Yep. Carmine, Tom Brady, baby. So do you think it's a good time to buy in BTC right now, Crypty? I'm putting in some buys. Eres el mejor. Thank you, Eduardo Fernandez Rodriguez. If you're in Puerto Rico, by the way, you have 4% taxes there. You're lucky, corporate tax. And then you have 0% capital gains tax. So you won't get charged on any capital gains if you're holding your coins for more than a year. So you guys are lucky. 50% to Bitcoin is very, very important. Interesting. How does Forex play into crypto trading? It's all the same analysis, John Damatio. I mean, chart analysis is universal for the most part. It's all psychological. because psychology is international, or it's universal. So risk and reward, it's how people react, right? So you make people feel a certain way and they react a certain way. And that's the exact same thing with the market. So if a market acts a certain way, there's patterns, because the majority of the market will act a certain way. But the problem comes when you've got an institution that puts a sell order for $5 million. It doesn't matter how the stinking market acts. That $5 million, that sell order is going to bring the price down. So that has nothing to do with psychology and emotion. That's called market manipulation. So Giovanni, what do you think about XRP? I think we're heading down to the 50-day moving average like we talked about. So we actually covered XRP. We're bouncing off of that. So just kind of play it the same way you play Tron. Set up that stop loss. It might potentially bounce off that 50-day. Nick Minell said, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Technical analysis. That's funny. Why crypto and no Forex, Adrian? Because Forex is not as volatile as crypto right now. So there's more money in crypto. Even at these price levels, there's more money to make. All right, guys, for all rubies and above, I'll see you in the Ruby and Above Night Owl. We already got tons of people here right now. For all of you, all else will be in the normal Night Owl, the Voice 2. Thank you guys for watching this. We'll have some awesome videos coming out soon. We're going to be posting some new Patreon content tomorrow. Tons of new content will come out tomorrow. I'm still rendering. I've got some editing to do, and that's all going to come out. We're going to be doing a piece from the conference, the Monero conference, from the Monero co-founder and what he had to say. I'm going to be posting the highlights there. I'm also going to be posting the Ruby and Above Night Owl, the Q&A. That one went really good, and then we'll continue on with the trade alerts as well. So for those of you not on the Discord, love to see you guys there. Somebody says, homie just left like that, Rolando. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and like always, snipers out.